back to another video. As you can see, we are back in the garage getting ready to finish stripping the Charger. We are gonna completely gut this thing down. We have to take everything out of here, including this engine bay, the harness, the ABS unit with the ABS lines, the interior, of course, get the doors off. So by the time we're done with this is gonna be just a basic shell, just a piece of metal. But then I'm gonna need some parts off of it, so I'm gonna cut it up and then I'm gonna save the parts for another build. So let's get started. I'm having my brother here with me today. He's gonna be helping me out so we can get some work done a little bit quicker and see what we get. All right guys, so I got everything set up here. Most of the tools I'm gonna use. So what we're gonna do is start on the interior first, because the engine to body harness sits behind this dash, of course. So I'm gonna take off the dash, take off the seats, take off the center console, gut it up from the interior, and that way we could trace the harness from that goes from the front of the car to the rear. So let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna have my brother record while I take the parts off. All right guys, so I'm gonna start off with this driver's seat. Remember the special tool we always use on all of the cars. Use the same thing. We're gonna take off these bolts. If you disconnected the battery, you have to reconnect it to back up the seat. So let's do that. On me right now, so I'm using these bags for temporary. I got one bag for the interior bolts and I got the other bag over there for the engine bolts and anything up on the outside. So now we got to take off the seat belt, which is T50, right over here. And then make sure you do this by hand first. You don't want to strip that bolt. Now this cover just slides right up like that, and get your small extension, and then you might have to drop the seat down a bit to get clear on that. There you go. It has Loctite on it, that's why it's a little bit stiff. So make sure, what I like to do is just put the slide back on so I don't lose it. Just like that. And you want to back it up a little bit. You want to disconnect your electrical. You got your one yellow wire like that, and then your gray plug just plugs in like that. So take off the seat, do the same thing to the other side. And I just found me a free 20 bucks. Alright, move on to the other side. The bottom seat, it doesn't have any bolts to hold it. You just have to lift up on it like that. Disconnect your electrical. These are for your rear heated seats. you got one more on the other side, and this whole thing comes out. You gotta take off these 18mm bolts. There's one in there, 2 on the other side, 1 for the seat belt, and then 2 on the other side. So when you pull the seat down, you can pull this Velcro off, and here are the 2 bolts, or the 2 nuts. These are 18 mils. We'll get the gun and zap those up. There's 3, and there's also one on the bottom, right in there. And then, like I mentioned in the old videos, these are 2 separate pieces. They just link together. So we'll take them off separately, but take off your seatbelt first. And then remember how this sits. So this top tab will sit straight, and then your nut will go through it. All right, fold this back. Now I'll move on to the other side, and then make sure you save your bolts in the bag. See this too? Now we're all set. Pull them down. Pull them right out. All right, so we got all the seats off. I got them stacked over here. Now we're gonna take off the side fillers, and they're just a 10mm bolt that holds it right in there. And then if you put your hand in here, there's a small clip that you push down, and the thing comes off just like that. See over here? And this will just go back in here like that. So this will go through the slot right in there, and it holds it up. And you got the one more on the other side. That's it. Your center console, you got to take off this insert, this mat that's inside of there, and then you got your 4 8mm bolts in here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure you pop off your shifter, because you're gonna have to remove this. There's a small Torx bolt in there. I think it's a T20 or 25 right in there. You remove that, disconnect your shifter. This whole center console will come off. All right, so now before you remove the center console, you gotta take off the emergency switch, which is held in by these 2 8mm. There's 1. And this whole thing will come off just like that. Keeping the center console for now, because you will have to reinstall it. And then you got 1 bolt over here. You use your fingers for that. I like to put all these back in the cup holder or the glove box. That way they're not going to be lost. Okay. Now you got your USB that's on the other side over here. Just pry it down. And then disconnect it. After you do that, you got your 2 main connectors that are under here. They're attached to this air vent. Here's 1. Here's the other one. There's your center console. Center console off. We're gonna start taking off the dash. You have to remove this this piece over here that sits under the steering column because you got to disconnect the wire harness. So I have to get the 2 bolts off. You get your little trim tool in there, pop it forward. And the same thing goes on the other side. Just like that. And now you have your main connectors. This one has a lock on it, so you got to pull this red tab back. This one doesn't. This one doesn't as well. And then for the lock, you just hit it back. Well, disconnect this one first. And then you got your other connector over here. Now this one, you want to unlock it, just hit it backwards. And then see these tabs over here, you just fall back. So that's that. And then your connectors will be in here, which I'll show you here in a second. But now your main connectors will be this yellow one. You disconnect that. You got your silver one or gray one over here, and then you got your black one. Now what you'll do is you'll route it down under the dash so it's not going to catch when you disconnect the dashboard. Just like that. So these will sit on the bottom. This is part of the body harness. Everything else is going to stay in the dash. That's coming off with the dash. So next up, we're going to take off the top trim. I'm going to disconnect the battery for this. Put your fingers through there and just pop it off. And then you have your lock in here, see that? You'll press this tab down. Get your tool, if you can't do it with your nail. You'll press this down and unlock that. That comes right off. Do the same thing to the other side, and then we have our speaker bezel that we need to remove as well. This side, same procedure. Get your fingers in there, and give it a nice pull. And then unlock that tab. That's done. Now this one over here, you want to be gentle with it because this breaks easily. So just follow it with your fingers. When you do that, now you'll pull it forward. That's it. Now you have the seal for the windshield. If it comes off, you can just reinstall it. So I'll put these by the seats and I'll come back and I'll show you how to take this dash off. So now you'll take off all these 10mm bolts. So you got 3 on this side, you got 1, 2 on this side, and you got 3 on the opposite side. And then there's some more in here, which I'll show you here in a second. But start taking these off. I got 3 over here. That's 4. Alright, now you're done with the side bolts. There's one more over here. So it makes I think 8 in total. Yep, so you got 8 on the bottom. On top you have 2, 1, 2, you got 3 7mm, 1 in there, 1 in there, and 1 over there. Then you have 2 bolts that look like this that are sitting right in front. Let's get a little bit closer, we'll show you how those look. And then after that, you literally just disconnect the connectors under here, which I'll show you, and this whole piece comes off as one. So let's do that now. Some extension, use a gun if you have one. You get a 10mm. I got an adapter for my 1/4 inch, and then a swivel for the 10. So like I said, there's one in here. That's one. That's 2. Make sure you save these bolts. And then the third one is right over here. Now you'll see the difference in these if you mix them up with a different bag. These don't have like a Phillips head on them, so you can't like unscrew it with a screwdriver. They're just flat 7mm. So you'll notice on the other bolts, these have a Phillips head on them. You can unscrew those. So these are like the special bolts, I guess. Now we'll get our 10 swivel on here. Take off your adapter. And now right in here, feel it. There's one. And then there's one more on the other side. That's it. I'm gonna go put these bolts in my bag so they don't get lost. And I'll come back, we'll get this dash pulled. Okay, so now the main harness is on this side. We already disconnected the 3 on the other side. So you want to pull this gently, don't pull it all the way out, you'll break those connectors. And I'll show you which ones to disconnect. So if you want, you can drop this glove box down, get a grip on it. Now you have this one over here. Take the lock off. Let me get my trim tool. You'll disconnect your lock, pull the tab back, and then that will disconnect over there. And then now I'll come over here, you'll see these wires. Like I said, be gentle with this because you won't break it. You got one that goes to the BCM, which is right in there. This is the one that goes to the BCM. You have this lock in here, so when this folds back, you'll press this down and pull it forward. And then you have your antenna wires. That's one. That's 2. And then your main plug. Like that. And then you have your HVAC for your blower motor. Disconnect that. And then we should be good. Everything else looks fine. And now we're gonna go into the other side, take the other connector off, and then we should be good to go. Pull the seal out of the way so it's not gonna be rubbing against it. Ready to come up. So I'm gonna have my brother set down the camera, and we're gonna pull this dash off. Here, as you can see, we've got the dash off. One thing left in here is our blower motor and our cabin unit. So that's gonna come off as one piece once I'm done. And then you got your brake pedal, emergency brake, and then your gas pedal, accelerator pedal. But we're gonna stop there for now. We're gonna move on to the engine bay, take off this fuse box. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this runs through the firewall. Take off these ABS lines as one piece, and just clear this up, and then we'll move on to the interior again. So 14 mil, disconnect your pressure lines, and then you can just unscrew it by hand. There's gonna be some fluid in here, so don't get this stuff on your skin. We got a rag for that. And these are different. So if you're doing a 392 swap on a V6, these ABS lines will have to be changed as well. They're a lot more heavy duty than the V6 ones. 1 and 2, this should be a 12, I believe. Yep. So we got this one. That's one line, and then the other line is right over there. That's it. So we have these 2 brake lines. And now this over here, these just come out of these grommets. Move that line out of the way. Those are the ABS lines, all done in one piece. Usually I'll disconnect the front ones too and put those signal lines separately, but it worked out by keeping it on. And then these, we'll take them off as one piece with the fuel lines and the vapor line, which is right over here. But let's move on to the fuse box, get rid of these grounds, and then start chopping it down. Alright guys, so as you can see, the harness is all gone from the frame. All that's left is to go through the firewall. But first of all, we got to remove the cabin air filter, or the cabin unit, because the harness goes from under there. But to do that, you got to take off the cabin filter. There's 10 millimeters. Okay. And now you'll take off this the shield. Just clip in there. And this will allow you to take off this piece. That's in here. Now we'll be going to the inside of the car. Now we're gonna take off this one over here. Okay, so disconnect your connectors off this. This is your main one over here. And so you got, these all go to the body control module. So you'll depress that tab. That comes off. And then you have this one over here. And one more on top corner. Alright. Looking good. And you have this one over here that goes to the body harness, so you gotta take it off because we are removing the cabin unit from the car. So this all stays on the bottom. Just like that. Same go with this. These antenna lines. Don't break these connectors. Okay. Now this harness is good to go. You gotta disconnect these vents from under the carpet. Lift off the carpet on the side. Disconnect those. And then what you'll do is you'll lift up and then pull out. So lift up, pull out. Just like that. This is out of the way. Now you have one more wire, and this is for the gas pedal. That will also go outside. And this will disconnect from right here. Everything is good to go. There's your cabin unit.
Oh yeah.